Good morning students. So in the previous video we have solved 1 to 22 questions of this mock test, and now in this video we are going to discuss about the remaining questions. So now without any further delay, let's start this topic. So which one of the following applies to Amitav Ghosh book Antique Land? So remember that this Antique Land is a work by Amitav Ghosh, and Amitav Ghosh is an anthropologist. So the anthropologist is one who studies cultural variation during past and present. That what are the changes that had happened in the past and how the culture of past is different from the present. So in this book Amitav Ghosh is going to talk about the past of Egypt. So Amitav Ghosh received fellowship to pursue his PhD. So what he did was he went to the Egypt and started living in a village named Lataifa. The spelling of Lataifa is Lataifa. So he went there and he started staying in Lataifa. It is a village in Egypt, and here he finds letters of Arabic merchant. Okay, these letters were written to Indian merchants. So you can see, and the work of an anthropologist is to figure out the cultural relationship between past and present and among different countries. That is why Amitav Ghosh went there to the Egypt, and while remaining here in this village Lataifa, side by side he writes stories on this village people. So the people of Lataifa used to call him cow worshipping kafir. Cow worshipping kafir is because he was an Indian and Indians do worship cow, and kafir is that he is not a Muslim. So Amitav Ghosh remains here, do his PhD, and side by side used to write stories on the people living here in Lataifa. So it is a multi-generic book because he has talked about Egypt's past, and he had also found the letters of the Arabic merchant that were sent to Indian merchants. And also it is a traveler's tale because as he was living here he used to travel a lot. He also visit the same village after 6 to 7 years and try to figure out what has been changed in these 6 or 7 years. Okay, so it is an autobiographical work also. And yes, he talks about the relationship between India and Egypt. This word pharaonic is linked with the word construction. So it is not about the construction of Egypt, how the Egypt was constructed or what were the pyramids look like in Egypt, but it is a work which talks about culture, history, relationship of Egypt and India. Alright, so this is the wrong answer. ABCD is the right answer. ABC is the right answer. Also remember that before In an Antique Land, Amitav Ghosh has written 2 works which are The Circle of Reason, and the next work is The Shadow Lines. I have personally read this work, The Shadow Lines by Amitav Ghosh, and at the back of this cover, this work has been praised by Khushwant Singh. Khushwant Singh says that this is how a novel should be written. This is how a novel should be written. So if you want to become a writer, you must study this work. The language and the sentence formation is very good by Amitav Ghosh. Also don't forget to read Khushwant Singh. He is one of my favorite writers, and when he died on March 2013, I was in shock because he was one of the writers that I really enjoyed reading. So I was emotionally connected with Khushwant Singh. And Amitav Ghosh has also written 3 more works which are Sea of Poppies. The next work is River of Smoke, and the third work is Flood of Fire. This was asked in UGC NET question paper that which of the following works are the trilogy of Amitav Ghosh. This trilogy is famously known as Ibis Trilogy. IBIS, Ibis Trilogy. Okay, so remember all these points. And these trilogies talk about the opium trade between China and India and other countries. I have not read these works in detail, but I have read Shadow Lines. So now let's move on to our second question, which is, in his essay The Modest Proposal, Jonathan Swift argues that the best colonized Irish can do is offer up their children for the English to feed on. The rhetoric essay deploys or the area of writing in which Swift excelled are. So let me delete everything. So here this is an essay by Jonathan Swift, The Modest Proposal. Actually during the 1700s, Ireland has great population and was a poor country at that time. So the officials are implementing some schemes to control the population, labor issues and financial issues of the country. So at that time the policies which were implemented in the Ireland were not so great. These policies and schemes were of no benefit to the people of Ireland. So in this work Jonathan Swift says to all the officials of Ireland that you should come with a scheme. In this scheme you should mention that all the citizens of Ireland should sell their children to England. The two things will happen. Selling their children to English to feed on will control their population. And the second thing will happen that English people will give money to Ireland people, and in this way the problem of financial crisis of Ireland will also get resolved. So this was a joke that Jonathan Swift made on the officials of Ireland, that the best the colonized Irish can do is offer up their children for the English to feed on. Alright, so this is a kind of satire and irony. Now what is innuendo? This is an indirect sexual remark. So here Jonathan Swift has not made any sexual remark on the officials of Ireland. And what is double entendre? It simply means a phrase having two meanings. A phrase having two meanings. Let me delete this first. A phrase having two meanings. So for example, if I say I am a dope runner, so what is the meaning of dope? This dope can have two meanings. The meaning of dope can be good or it can be a opium. I am a dope runner. That means I can be a opium runner or I can be a good runner. So a phrase having two meanings is known as double entendre. So this is not double entendre. So this answer is wrong. There is also a triple entendre. Triple entendre. It simply means that a phrase which will have three meanings rather than two meanings. Okay. This modest proposal was published in 1729. And before this work, in 1726, Jonathan Swift published Gulliver's Travel. So now let's go on to our another question, which is, which of the following work are written by M.G. Vasantji? Okay, so the right answer is Uru Street and the In-Between World of Vikram Lal. I'm not going to go in detail for this particular writer because this is a Canadian writer and there is very less chance that they will ask you Canadian writer one more time. Even if they ask you the Canadian writers, they are only going to ask you the titles. They are not going to ask you any of these works in detail. Okay, so make a list of Canadian writers and make their important works and study only the titles. No need to go in detail. Okay, so now let's go on to our another question, which is Arun Kolatkar, Adil Jasuwala, Arvind Krishna Mehrotra, Namdev Dasal, Dom Morris, Eunice D'Souza, all can be described as Bombay poets. So you can see that it is a multiple select question, MSQ. In MSQ they will give you four options. The right answer can only be one option. So you don't think that these MSQs can only have two or more options right. Even multiple select questions can too have one option right. So you can remember from the names Arun Kolatkar, Adil Jasuwala, Arvind Krishna Mehrotra. These were the friends, Arun, Adil and Arvind. Even I have 4 to 5 friends in South India who has their name as Arvind. So Arun Kolatkar has written a very famous book named Jejuri. This is a poem collection of 31 poems and he has also won Commonwealth Award for this particular work. And Jejuri is a city in Pune and this work presents encounter between modern and ancient tradition. Actually, earlier Bombay was the place of art. If you want to be an actor, poet or writer, you can simply go to Bombay and follow your instincts or you can follow your creativity. Also remember that Arun Kolatkar has written another work named Bhijki Wahi. This particular work got Sahitya Academy Award. Nisim Ezekiel too was a Bombay poet, but he is not mentioned here in this question. And this Adil Jasuwala has written a work named Sea Breeze, Bombay. This Arvind Krishna was from Allahabad but later went there in Bombay and became friend with Adil and Arun Kolatkar. Namdev Dasal is a famous person from Dalit literature. He was a Marathi poet and his famous work is Gol Pitha, Tuji Iyata Kanchi, Tuji Iyata Kanchi. His another famous work is Priyadarshini. Remember all these titles. They may ask who has written Priyadarshini or Tuji Iyata Kanchi or Gol Pitha. Okay. Namdev Dasal is also a founding member of Dalit Panther movement. Dalit Panther movement. This movement was started by 4 people. Number 1 is Namdev Dasal. Number 2 is Raja Dhale, Dhale or Dhale, whatever. Third one is Arjun Dangli and the fourth one is J.V. Pawar. So you can see here Namdev Dasal, Raja Dhale, Arjun Dangle, J.V. Pawar. So I have remembered this from their surname. D for Dasal, D for Dhale, D for Dangle, D for Dalit. And from Panther P, which is Pawar, J.V. Pawar. So remember all these points. Actually Namdev Dasal was an alcoholic and used to beat his wife. This made him very controversial figure in the nation. He died with cancer and throughout his life he remained in financial problems and he remained in poverty. And of course he is a major contributor in Dalit literature. So remember that these all were the Bombay poets, not primarily in the English language because he was from Marathi literature. They were not the editors, not members of art and craft scene. The answer is A. Now let's move on to another question, which is, which of the following is true for the Gutenberg Bible? It is the first ever printed book in the world. It is printed using mass production. This is right. It was printed in 1550s by Jones. This is wrong. It was printed in 1540s. It is an edition of Latin Vulgate. This is the right answer. In the answer key, it is written that the right answer is B and C, which is it is printed and it was printed in 15. These two are the right option according to the GATE exam. But the answer key is wrong. It is an edition of the Latin Vulgate. It was not in 1550s but in 1450s. Alright. It was in 1450s. Now let's move on to another title, which is Samuel Beckett's Krapp's Last Tape employs the banana motif throughout to show which of the following. So Samuel Beckett is one of the major figure of Theatre of Absurd. He has also written two more works, Endgame and Waiting for Godot. This Waiting for Godot is a play in 2 acts and this Endgame is a play in 1 act. Remember these points. Along with Samuel Beckett, there were other 2 famous playwrights, Jean Genet and Eugene Ionesco. All these were French playwrights. Read the 4 options: futility of human goals, ecology and environment, slapstick humor, color of banana. So it is not representing the color of banana. It cannot be possibly the answer. You have to use common sense here. And Theatre of Absurd is not talking about ecology and environment. You must have at least read the summary of Krapp's Last Tape. So it is about the futility of human goals, slapstick humor. How it is futility of human goals? Because this Krapp, who was 39 years old, wanted to eat all the 4 bananas, but only eat 3 bananas and refrain himself from eating the last banana. So this last banana is the symbolic of the unfulfilled desire of human goals. Alright. So now let's move on to another question, which is Hunter Commission of 1882. Sir William Hunter, with which among the following was the commission tasked with? So they have asked about the Hunter Commission of 1882. Let's study this Hunter Commission of 1882 in detail. After mutiny of 1857, power was transferred from East Indian Company to British Crown, and later Indian Education Commission was founded on 3rd Feb 1882. So Lord Ripon was the head of this Indian Education Commission and he appointed Sir William Hunter as the chairperson of this Education Commission. Along with Sir William Hunter, there were 20 members. So what was the reason for founding this Indian Education Commission? It is to inquire the previous education policy, which was Wood's Dispatch. Just to inquire this Wood's Dispatch, this Indian Education Commission was founded. So now let's discuss on which particular areas Hunter's Commission did their inquiry on. Let me erase all of these points. So there were 4 tasks given to Hunter Commission to do inquiry on. Number 1 task was primary education. Second was secondary education. Third was state institution. Number 4 was how missionaries are working in the field of education. So the very first thing you have to remember that the primary education should be in the medium of mother tongue. Practical subjects must be taught. For example, arithmetic, science, agriculture, health, etc. And the fees should be taken on financially status of a family. So this was the major concern of the Hunter Commission of 1882. Alright, so let's look on the 4 options. The first is to set up colleges for women in 3 presidencies. Wrong. To consider different aspects of education in India, paying particular attention to the primary education. This is right. To advocate education for the lower caste. This is wrong. To design English literature curriculum for the natives. This is wrong. These are the real 4 factors that Hunter Commission of 1882 was formed. The first one was primary education, the second was secondary education, state institutions, and how missionaries are working in field of education. So I hope this is clear. Let's move on to our another question, which is William James' work, The Principle of Psychology, cast an influence on which of the following? The first is Rainbow, The Sound and Fury, Ulysses, Mrs. Dalloway. So this is a work by William Faulkner. This is a work by D.S. Lawrence. Ulysses and James Joyce. Mrs. Dalloway is a work by Virginia Woolf. Alright, so remember that the principle of psychology is the work where stream of consciousness was explained. So all these writers, William Faulkner, James Joyce and Virginia Woolf, used to write in the style of stream of consciousness. Even I have read Mrs. Dalloway. This is a very good book. You too can read this book. It is difficult for you to read the Ulysses and the Sound and Fury. I think it is very difficult to read Ulysses by James Joyce, because I have read his work, The Portrait of Artist as a Young Man. This Portrait of Artist as a Young Man is a really difficult work. James Joyce has used many flashbacks, past and present, many narratives. He has also talked about Irish history, and so many fragmented narratives are present in this work. I have read this work 2 times and yet I am unable to understand The Portrait of Artist as a Young Man. So these 3 works are written in stream of consciousness, but The Rainbow is not written in the stream of consciousness. So remember that. They may ask you in the question that who has coined the term stream of consciousness. The answer is William James in his work The Principles of Psychology. The next question is, which of the following works are true regarding the Jane Austen's novel Pride and Prejudice? This is a pure factual question. You must read this work in detail because this work is recommended in many universities. Even in my university, this work was recommended us to study in detail. So yes, the title is taken from the Frances Burney's Cecilia. The Wickham subplot in Pride and Prejudice is parody of Henry Fielding's Tom Jones. This is right. Character Wickham, who is as similar to the character Tom Jones. Both are young, both are handsome, both have good souls. But at the end, it appears us to that Wickham was just faking his humanity. He was a proudful person and he did not have the same soul that we can see in the Tom Jones. Tom Jones was an ethical character, but Wickham was not. He marries someone else just for the sake of money. So it reflects the assumptions of 18th century England. This is also right. Pride and Prejudice, published in 1813 in 3 volumes. This is wrong. I have read this work in actual text. It took me 3 to 4 days to read this work. The language is comparably easy as compared to the works written by Virginia Woolf or James Joyce. So you must read all the works by Jane Austen in detail. There are 4 or 5 works written by Jane Austen. Mansfield Park, Northanger Abbey, Pride and Prejudice. Emma, I think Emma is also a work written by Jane Austen. Yes, he self-published this work, Emma, whatever. And after the self-publishing of this work, he was not able to earn that much money. So earlier all her works were first published by traditional publishers, but now here she decides that she is going to self-publish this book so that she can have more money out of her writing career. I do not recall whether this work is the work by Jane Austen which was self-published or some another title. Find it by yourself. So this D option is incorrect. Let me erase everything. Next is Shakespearean Jacobean's play such as Titus Andronicus are sometimes described as tragic-comic. This play is marked by violence against the female protagonist of the play, intermingling of violence and comic in the play. So you have to study this play in detail. Even you have to read all the Shakespeare's play in detail. Once in a while they will ask you passage from Shakespeare or they will ask you character from Shakespeare. He has written 36 or 37 plays. Yes, it is difficult for you to read all these plays, but do not miss Titus Andronicus, As You Like It, Midsummer Night Dream, King Lear, Hamlet, Othello, Two Gentlemen of Verona, Romeo and Juliet. All these plays are important. They will ask you questions once in a while from Shakespeare. In every UGC NET exam, there are questions from Shakespeare. So I will not go in detail because it is necessary for you to go through the whole play. If you have read this play, you can easily give the answer. But if you have not read this play, there is no point for me to discuss it right now in this video. You can simply remember the 2 points. A and D is the right option. It is about violence and it talks about bloody revenge plays that remained popular all through the 16th century. These 2 are the wrong options. You can simply remember these if you have not studied this play. But if you have studied this play, you don't need any explanation. So now let's move on to our another question, which is Frantz Fanon's Black Skin's White Mask discusses. Black Skin White Mask is a major work in post-colonial literature. Actually, this work is his first work. And the second work was Wretched of the Earth. Here in this book, Wretched of the Earth, the important section you must read is The Pitfall of National Consciousness. The pitfall of national consciousness is related to Gandhi's work Hind Swaraj. Alright, in these works they both have talked about that even after independence, the middle class is going to continue the legacy of Britishers. So now who are the middle class? So the middle class people are government officials, lawyers, doctors, so on and so forth. All these middle class officials, lawyers, doctors are well trained in English education before independence. So these middle class are the first people who went against the Britishers? This post-colonial literature is not that simple. You have to dive deep in this subject, post-colonial literature. So Frantz Fanon was born in Martinique. This is a place in Caribbean island. Frantz Fanon was born in Caribbean island, but later on he moved to Algeria. He was a doctor actually, and he died at a very young age of 36. So let's talk about the options now. The failure of the Algerian anti-colonial movement. This is not the right option, because he has talked about the failure of Algerian anti-colonial movement in Wretched of the Earth, not in Black Skin White Mask. Yes, he was born in Martinique, and it talks about anti-black racism. It also talks about blackness and whiteness envy. And yes, as I have just mentioned, that how middle class people were so much attracted by the bourgeoisies, how much they were attracted by the language the European used, the deep desire to the master's language of the colonizer. So they too wanted to learn the language. So BCD is the right option. Let's move on to our another question, which is, which of the following statements are true for Christopher Marlowe? Marlowe was one of the most well-known Elizabethan playwrights, significantly influenced by William Shakespeare. Yes, William Shakespeare used to copy all the university wits. There are around 6 or 7 university wits, and William Shakespeare used to take the material from all these university wits. Okay. Marlowe's collection of plays dedicated to Elizabethan I. This is wrong. Marlowe known for Spanish tragedy. This is wrong. Spanish tragedy is written by Thomas Kyd. Thomas Kyd too was a university wit. Marlowe was one of the earliest writers to make innovative use of blank verse. This is the right option. Okay. A and D is the right option. B and C is the wrong option. Which of the following, according to Sharan Kumar Limballe, congruent to Dalit aesthetics? So this question is asked from his work Towards an Aesthetics of Dalit Literature. This is a work by Sharan Kumar Limballe. We have also talked about this writer in our previous video, his famous work Agarmasi. So I have already talked about this work, and again another question has been asked from this writer. So the question is made from his another work, which is Towards an Aesthetics of Dalit Literature. So I'm not going to cover this writer one more time. You can watch my previous video where I have talked about this writer in detail. You can simply write down the answer, which is A and D. B and C options are incorrect. And now, before moving forward, if you have not liked this video, kindly like this video and share your views in the comments below. If you want me to create more such videos, let me know in the comments below. Okay, let's move on to another question, which is, on which of the following themes, Upper Ganga, Upper Ganga, what is this? Anita Desai's Clear Light of the Day, Bapsi Sidhwa's I See Candyman Focus. I have never heard about these two terms. Yes, I have read the Clear Light of the Day. So in order to answer these questions, you don't have to read all the writers. Even one or two work if you have read, you are easily going to answer such questions. So Anita Desai's Clear Light of the Day was a part of my IGNOU syllabus, and I have read the actual text of this work in detail. This is really an amazing novel. It talks about the 4 siblings, Bhim, Tara, Raja and Baba, and it talks about women's bodies as the site of violence of nation making. Tara gets married to a rich man, whereas Bhim remains at home and take care of Baba. Actually, Baba was suffering from some kind of disease, and Raja too does not want to stay in the house. Here is another character named Miramasi. This Miramasi used to take care of Bhim, Tara, Raj and Baba. Their parents have never cared about the children. So Bhim, Tara, Raja and Baba were all dependent on Miramasi. Their parents used to play cards all day long and felt no responsibility for their children. So this is not about Pakistan and India partition. It is about women as citizens and refugees in post-colonial South Asia, because Bhim has to suffer a lot in this novel. She even remained unmarried. The idea of nationalism as patriotic ideal. This is wrong. This option is wrong. Okay, A and D is the right option for this. You have to read these works. I cannot do anything. All these explanations will have no meaning if you have not read these works in detail. Summaries will not help. There is no question from summary here. They have not asked you who was Bhim, who was Tara, who was Raja, who was Baba. They have simply asked you the concept. You cannot crack any examination by reading summaries alone. Remember this point. No one will tell you the truth what I am telling you. No one wants you to crack UGC NET examination. They're just selling you something and you are just buying from them. That's it. Okay. So do not fall for the trap. Let's move on to our another question, which is, so this is a very important essay. If you want to understand the age of modernism, you you have to go by this essay. You have to read this essay, and this question is very deep. I'm not going to cover this long essay right now in this video, and you have to read this essay by yourself. If you will not read this essay, you will not understand the age of modernism. Walter Benjamin's Storyteller has played a very big role in conceptualizing the age of modernism. So read this essay, try to understand yourself, because it will take me 1 or 2 hours to teach you this essay. Let's go on to another topic. These are the text interpretation, so don't expect me to cover this. This is all based on your skills, how good you are in interpreting a poem. So the remaining questions are text interpretation. You have to solve 38, 39 and 40 number question by yourself. So now I have done my work. It's your work to study, whether you have watched this video till the end or not, and stop solving useless MCQs that you found on Facebook or WhatsApp or in Telegram channels. I have never solved all these MCQs. So you see the quiz on Facebook or WhatsApp or Telegram channel. All these have no use. Read books, study hard. Don't be dependent on the notes. Make notes by yourself. Alright? So that's it for this video. Okay, I'm not here to sell you something. I'm here to enlighten you for the things you have always been unaware of. No one will teach you these things. So that's it for this video. Thank you.